Inteleon!
Inteleon is a calculated and refined rushdown character who excels at breaking down his opponent's defenses before turning it into huge damage, either by causing his opponent to make a crucial mistake or by creating his own openings thanks to his character mechanic. With a strong blend of speed and reach, Inteleon is capable of turning even the smallest opening into a torrent of damage. But when you're a character that relies on precision, the only thing that can hold you back are the ones holding your controller. With a notably low weight value and a tall frame that's quite easy to juggle, making mistakes as Inteleon can be a costly affair. But as an Inteleon player, it's your job to overcome these difficulties and use your tricky attacks to punish the overly aggressive. And if your opponent tries to run away, chase them down and give them no quarter. Inteleon stands as a tall, humanoid character, his size being comparable to characters like Captain Falcon and Kazuya. Being classified as the Secret Agent Pokemon, it's not surprising that Inteleon's fighting style carries a level of calm finesse, with his main weapons being his long legs and massive tail. However, an agent is nothing without their gadgets, and Inteleon's claim to fame is the various ways he can utilize the water jets in his fingertips. Inteleon is capable of launching water out of these jets at a speed that tops Mach 3, making him an excellent sniper that can be seen through his exclusive move, Snipe Shot. However, here in Smash, Inteleon's water jets will be pushed even further to create new types of weaponry, ones that are designed to feel right at home with Inteleon's Super Spy motif. Starting off strong, Inteleon is capable of focusing the pressurized water in his fingertips into a refined edge, essentially transforming his hands into deadly blades he can use to cut into his opponents. These blades will provide a decent amount of offensive pressure thanks to their relatively quick speed and notable disjoint, and when mixed with Inteleon's ability to analyze his opponents for weak points, opponents hit by these attacks will be left feeling the effects long after they deal damage. Next up, Inteleon will make use of a trick its previous evolution, Drizzile, is capable of performing. Namely, creating explosive water bombs from the moisture in his hands before launching them at his foes. However, instead of simply lobbing these bombs like Drizzile, Inteleon will also be able to make these bombs explode midair by sniping them, which will increase their explosion radius and damage. It's only fitting for the evolution to do things bigger and better than their previous form, after all. Aside from these main two abilities, there are a variety of smaller ways Inteleon can utilize his control over water, including explosive flicks from his fingers, launching waves of water by manipulating his arms, and utilizing his tail to manipulate the trajectory of his shots. He always seems to have a couple of tricks up his sleeve, making it all the easier for you to catch your opponent off guard. In terms of mobility options, Inteleon has 2 jumps, along with the ability to crawl, wall jump, and wall cling. Remember how I mentioned Inteleon's ability to analyze his opponents for weak points? Well, that wasn't just a simple throwaway line, as it actually makes up the basis for Inteleon's character mechanic, which I've titled Crippling Blows. As Inteleon deals damage to his opponent, be it by up-close blows or by sniping from afar, he will inflict a stack of crippling blows to his target, this being shown as a blue star above their head that will have its 5 tips light up for each hit. And once it maxes out, Inteleon's picture will flash as the star will transform into a glowing caricature of Inteleon's head. At this point, Inteleon's next attack against his opponent will deal extra damage and knockback, all while his specials will gain extra attributes against the afflicted foe. But it's important that you be quick, as a fully exposed weak point will only last for 5 seconds before the effect wears off. This effect has the potential to be a very dangerous setup tool, especially since Inteleon is capable of performing long combos that can lead into a full stack of crippling strikes. But again, precision is key above all else, and if Inteleon fails to keep momentum in his favor, all his hard work could go to waste very quickly. What this means is that your opponent has a chance to fight back against this mechanic, as taking damage as Inteleon will cause him to lose his focus, and in return, lose stacks of crippling blow, with it only taking 15% for a stack to disappear. Still, this is set damage against guaranteed stacks if you manage to land your hits correctly, with some attacks either granting you extra stacks or outright granting a full stack of crippling blows if you manage to land it. Long story short, the odds are in your favor, quite befitting for a Secret Agent Pokemon, if I do say so myself. It should also be mentioned that rapid hit attacks will only count for 1 stack apiece, along with moves such as jab combos or other target combos the character might be capable of, with the only hit counting towards a stack of crippling blows being the final hit. Now that you're up to date on how Inteleon's game plan is structured, let's now talk about the moves that keep that structure intact and move on to Inteleon's normals. As previously mentioned, Inteleon's fighting style is designed to feel like that of a refined master of combat, all while adding in a suave edge to complement Inteleon's title as the Secret Agent Pokemon. As a result, Inteleon will use a variety of chops, rapid kicks, slashes from blades of water, and strikes from his tail for his normals, along with a couple of extra goodies he has up his sleeve. Inteleon's neutral combo is Infiltrator Combination, a 3-hit combo featuring a quick chop, elbow strike, and a kick. This combo can also branch off into an endless combo featuring a series of rapid strikes from Inteleon's tail, all before he sends the opponent flying with an explosive flick from his finger. Overall, it's a simple sequence of attacks that deals a decent amount of damage off of a quick initial blow, making it a decent neutral tool thanks to the length of Inteleon's limbs. Inteleon's forward tilt is Fen Cutter, a 2-hit target combo that will have Inteleon show off his water blade technique, cutting into his opponent horizontally before launching the opponent upwards for the second blow. This move's range and speed make it a great combo starter, and if the player chooses to, they can cancel the first attack by jumping, holding shield, or rolling. While this means that the player is opting out of a stack of crippling blows, sometimes it's just safer to not take damage. Inteleon's up tilt is Rising Tide, a 1-2 combo attack that will have Inteleon knock his opponent off the ground with his tail, all before catching them in midair with a rising kick, his tail being used for support as it extends his kick range. Much like his forward tilt, this attack is an excellent combo tool and can be used as a reliable anti-air option, but unlike Fen Cutter, the first hit cannot be cancelled, meaning it's far less safe on shield, and even more dangerous on whiff. Inteleon's down tilt is Slippery Sweep, a low-hitting sweep attack that will have Inteleon kick out his opponent's balance, all while wrapping his tail around his leg in order to extend the attack's range. It's a solid poke thanks to the length of Inteleon's tail, with this move having 2 different launch trajectories depending on whether the opponent is hit by the first or second half of the tail. The first launching the opponent straight up into the air, while the second will launch at an angle away from Inteleon. Inteleon's dash attack is Interceptor Arrow, a diving kick that will zip through opponents in order to knock them up into the air. At earlier percents, the player can use this move as a combo starter thanks to its vertical launch range, but aside from that, it's a fairly weak attack that won't be securing kills until very high percents. For his get-up attack, Inteleon will attack either using a spinning kick or a whip from his tail, all while attacking with a slicing chop for his ledge attack. For his smash attacks, Inteleon will bring out some of his more powerful water-type abilities to drown his opponents in a deluge of damage, all while mixing in a bit of his acrobatic prowess to add a bit of style to his kill options. Inteleon's forward smash is Liquidation, this attack having Inteleon slash in front of him with 2 water blades at the same time, and once the water blades connect with one another, they will create a violent burst of water that will launch the opponent away with heavy force. This is one of Inteleon's strongest kill confirms, and even if the opponent manages to step outside of the move's effective range, they can still be pushed back by the force of the water, making it a powerful edge-guarding tool. Also, if the water blades connect with the opponent before they explode, this attack will deal increased damage and knockback. Inteleon's up smash is Flip Slash, this move having Inteleon leap off the ground, cutting through the air with a pair of stylish kicks in order to launch his opponent skywards. This move is an excellent way to challenge an opponent trying to land or camp a platform, thanks especially to its speed and the additional range Inteleon's tail provides. But compared to his other smash attacks, its knockback is notably weaker with the lack of a push effect. Still, don't let that deter you from using this move to secure a kill either at high percent or if you catch your opponent near the top of the screen. Finally, Inteleon's down smash is Muddy Water, a powerful double-sided attack that will have Inteleon stab his hands into the ground, all before activating his water jets. The force of the water will then cause a wave of mud to splash up from below, covering both sides simultaneously and launching opponents away with heavy force. This move is an excellent way to cover get-up options at the ledge or punish a poorly timed roll, and much like his forward smash, this move sports a push box that will shove back opponents that are just outside the attack's range, making it difficult to punish without either a projectile or a notable disjoint. As a Pokemon with a notable amount of acrobatic finesse, it's no surprise that Inteleon is more than prepared to take a fight to the sky should the situation arise. Utilizing a variety of rapid kicks, water blades, and tail strikes to knock his foes out of the air. Combine that with his membrane that allows for him to glide through the air, and you have all you need to be a true terror of the skies. Inteleon's neutral air is Slicing Gale, this move having Inteleon extend his glider membrane, stalling his aerial momentum as he performs a spinning kick. This kick will knock back nearby opponents as it cuts through the air, leaving a visible trail behind it that covers Inteleon's hurtbox. Overall, this is a great combo tool due to its launch angle, along with its momentum stalling making it a great landing and edge guarding tool as well, but do remember they can still be beaten out by disjoints. Inteleon's forward air is Tactical Assault, a target combo that will have Inteleon throw out a pair of quick kicks, launching the opponent away after the second kick. This move's speed and lower knockback growth makes it one of Inteleon's best combo extending tools, but said weaker knockback also makes it a rather difficult attack to kill confirm with unless your opponent is off screen. Still, the second kick can be cancelled early by fast falling, which can open unique combo paths if you follow it up with a grounded normal. Inteleon's up air is Geyser Thrash, a powerful overhead strike that will have Inteleon use a pair of water blades to cut any opponent above him, launching them from the force of the blades separating. This is Inteleon's best aerial kill confirm, with its strength being close to if not on par with the up airs of characters like Fox and Snake. But said strength is only really shown if the player manages to hit with the move's sweet spot, as the sour spot will have notably weaker damage and knockback. Inteleon's back air is Water Whip, a long-range reversal option that will have Inteleon spin around in the air, attacking with a roundhouse kick as he wraps his tail around his leg, extending the move's range and increasing its damage as Inteleon reveals the hidden knife within his tail. This move will sport a sweet spot on the knife's blade, making it especially deadly if the player spaces their opponent effectively, but even the sour spot can be useful thanks to its range. Finally, Inteleon's down air is Downdraft Dive, a unique type of fast fall aerial that will have Inteleon extend his membrane, all before diving down through the air. If an opponent is near Inteleon when he begins to dive, they will be spiked by the dash, with the dash's hitbox remaining active until Inteleon touches the ground or goes a certain distance. If the player is able to remain airborne during the end of this move's attack animation, Inteleon will instantly transition into a glide animation, the player being able to alter their flight direction by moving the analog stick. Although holding up for too long will stall your momentum and cause you to go into freefall. Inteleon will grab his opponent with both hands, all while performing a knee strike for his pummel. For his throws, Inteleon's damage output is rather average compared to other characters. But what makes them such an important part of Inteleon's kit is the fact that all 4 of his throws will open weak points on his foes, counting between 2 to 3 hits of weak point exposure depending on which throw is used. Regardless, mixing throws into your game plan can make your damage output much stronger. Inteleon's forward throw is Flick Shot, a simple yet stylish throw option that will have Inteleon perform an explosive flick, launching water from his finger at the perfect time to launch his opponent away. In terms of damage, this throw is about average, with its main strength coming from its ability to push an opponent off stage and into a possible follow-up attack or a kill confirm. But the 3 stacks of crippling blows it puts on your opponent more than make up for that lack of power. Inteleon's up throw is Torrent Blade, a 1-2 combo attack that will have Inteleon strike his opponent in the stomach, all before activating his water blade and pulling upwards, launching the opponent up into the air. At the point of the blade's activation, the opponent will be inflicted with 3 stacks of crippling blows. But aside from that, this throw serves as a combo starter at lower percents and a potential kill option at much higher percents. Inteleon's back throw is Stagger Soaker, a powerful repositioning tool that will have Inteleon slice downwards with a water blade, staggering his opponent briefly. In this moment, Inteleon will then flip the opponent in order to launch them away. Overall, this throw is a stronger version of his forward throw, with higher damage and knockback growth behind it. But in return, this throw will only inflict 2 stacks of crippling blows compared to Flick Shot's 3. Finally, Inteleon's down throw is Monsoon Slash, an impressive showing of Inteleon's speed as he rapidly strikes at his opponent, causing them to drop to their knees. In this moment, Inteleon will perform a downward blade slice to bounce the staggered opponent off the floor, inflicting 2 stacks of crippling blows in the process. This is Inteleon's designated combo throw, it allowing the player to either get a combo going or line up a potential kill option if they use this throw to max out their crippling blow meter. It's now time to talk about Inteleon's specials, and seeing as he's a Pokemon, this is where we'll finally get to see him make use of actual Pokemon attacks. In terms of his specials kit, Inteleon is built around controlling small but important sections of a stage, with his diverse options including a projectile, a command grab, 2 mobility options, and a powerful repositioning tool. And that's not even getting into what these moves can do once he has his opponent fully exposed. Starting with his neutral special, Inteleon will make use of his exclusive attack from Pokemon Sword and Shield, Snipe Shot. By pressing and holding the B button, Inteleon will kneel down and extend his arm forward. his nictitating membrane going over his eyes as he starts to take aim. In this state, moving the analog stick up and down will alter Snipeshot's trajectory, the direction being shown by a small marker above Inteleon's hand. And once you're ready to fire, all you have to do is release the B button. Snipeshot's projectile is incredibly fast. So fast, in fact, that it can cover the range of Byleth's Fail Knot in about 6 frames. But while it's incredibly fast, it has some rather low priority to compensate. On top of that, its speed means it isn't active for very long, meaning that precision is very important when using this move. It's also advised that you take care when fighting an opponent with a reflector, as this move's speed will make it nearly impossible to react to if it comes back your way. Thankfully, there's more to Snipeshot than simply taking aim and firing, as such a move will either encourage opponents to rush you down during the move's long startup, or make as much distance as possible to increase their chances of not getting hit. Thankfully, Inteleon has a few tricks up his sleeve to deal with opponents trying to run away from his shots. By pressing the B button immediately after the initial press and holding either forward or backwards on the control stick, Inteleon will be able to perform one of 2 attacks that will increase his mix-up potential, these being Aqua Tail and Agility. Starting with Aqua Tail, this is the defensive option of the two, with Inteleon attacking in front of himself with a wide-hitting tail strike. This attack's strength is fairly average, and once the attack animation concludes, Inteleon will slide backwards and enter a unique Snipeshot pose. Pressing B again in this pose will have Inteleon instantly fire Snipeshot in a set direction, this shot being able to act as a combo attack if the player manages to land Aqua Tail. But in return, this shot's damage is much weaker than the standard Snipeshot to compensate. Despite that, it's still more than strong enough to help Inteleon confirm offstage kills, or just kill in general if his opponent's percent is high enough. Moving on to Agility, this will essentially do the opposite of Aqua Tail and have Inteleon rush forward, charging shoulder first to deal damage. Agility will also sport a unique Snipeshot follow-up attack like that of Aqua Tail. It's shooting at a unique angle that's more for horizontal follow-ups when compared to Aqua Tail's vertical follow-up potential. While these options might keep your opponent on their toes, we've yet to talk about how exposing your opponent's weak points changes your specials, and what better place to start than with Inteleon's exclusive move. If your opponent has been fully exposed, Snipeshot's regular firing mode will gain a unique buff, allowing for it to instantly bypass shields and gain a massive increase of damage if it manages to do so. Now, let me repeat that so it doesn't raise questions later. Snipeshot's damage will get a massive increase in damage if it hits an opponent who has their shield up, not just a natural massive damage boost. While it will gain some extra damage naturally, it's only by catching your opponent off guard or making bad decisions will you be able to make the most of Snipeshot's abilities. Do keep in mind, however, that your opponent can still perfect shield this attack, but the risk associated with it might not make the risk worth the reward. Moving on to his side special, Inteleon will show off the assassin side of his super spy motif and make use of a dangerous neutral tool, this being Fell Stinger. With this, Inteleon would perform a rushing dash forwards, attempting to grab onto the closest opponent. If he manages to snag an opponent, he'll either grab them by the throat from the front or in a chokehold from behind, all before driving an extra sharp water blade into them to deal damage. At the end of the move, Inteleon will violently pull the water blade out, the force of this causing the opponent to be launched away as the water blade disperses. This command grab will also work in the air, with Inteleon launching his opponent straight down after the initial attack. This move's damage is fairly average as far as command grabs go, with its main strength coming from its ability to reposition the opponent and set them up for more potential damage. But this move's real strength comes from the extra effect this move gains against an exposed opponent. If Inteleon manages to grab an opponent in this state, he will perform a unique animation where he'll drive his blade into his opponent's chest, this stab dealing increased damage compared to the original and forcing them into a crumple state, much like Kazuya's Demon God Fist. If done in the air, Inteleon will force his opponent back down towards the ground and shove them into a hard knockdown state, much like Snake does with his down throw. This is one of Inteleon's best combo starters and kill setups, thanks especially to the fact that the opponent can only look on in horror as you perform a follow-up attack, and because of this, it's arguably the strongest exposed option that Inteleon has. However, while that's the case, it's still a move that the player has to line up carefully, as while whiffing won't make the exposed effect disappear, you only have a short amount of time to confirm that grab before the effect wears off. As a result, it's best to try and combo into it from light-hitting attacks, much like you would with Terry's Buster Wolf. Moving on to his recovery special, Inteleon will use his water jets to rocket himself through the air, covering a long distance in very little time with Aqua Jet. With this, Inteleon will start this move by striking a cross-armed pose, all before launching water from all 5 of his fingers at once to launch himself in the direction chosen by the player. Compared to moves like Fox's Firefox or Ridley's Wing Blitz, this move's movement speed is much faster than others of its kind, but in exchange, its damage and knockback growth is very low. Although this move will create a small burst of water around Inteleon if he uses it on the ground. While it might be a weak attack, it still has its uses in Inteleon's game plan, with it being a great way to chase opponents launched up into the air as it does not put him into a freefall state at the end of the dash. However, it's not surprising to know that Inteleon has a trick up his sleeve for those thinking they can easily challenge this move in the air. For if the player inputs the B button again before Inteleon reaches the end of Aqua Jet's trail, he will perform the move's unique follow-up attack, Air Slash. Air Slash essentially works as a faster, more powerful version of Inteleon's neutral air, with Inteleon slicing around himself at incredible speed, creating waves of wind to launch nearby opponents away. This is an excellent kill confirm to use on an opponent that's near the top of the screen, thanks to the fact that its launch angle is practically 90 degrees straight up. But it's important to remember that using this move will put Inteleon into a freefall state, leaving him wide open to damage if he misses. As for how this move affects exposed opponents, Aqua Jet will gain an extra charge if Inteleon manages to hit his opponent directly, allowing the player to use Aqua Jet again in the desired direction without having to touch the ground. This second Aqua Jet will cover less range than the first, but in return, its cooldown will be much shorter, essentially turning this move into a combo extender much like you'd expect from, say, John Talbane's Wolf Cannon. Its damage is still very low, however, so do make sure you're able to land a combo ender so you don't waste your opponent's exposed status. Finally, for his down special, Inteleon will utilize a 2-part attack that's designed to leave his opponents guessing and capitalize on either hesitation or poorly placed aggression. Acrobatics. With this, Inteleon will perform a spinning leap through the air, jumping in either a forward or backward arc while tucking his body into a somersault. Inteleon will be invulnerable to damage during the move's first few startup frames, making this an excellent out-of-shield option if the player is able to time it properly. But it's important to note that it's more than possible for opponents to predict a jump and chase you with an aerial of their own. Thankfully, there's more to this move than a simple command jump, where if the player presses the B button again while in the middle of the jump, Inteleon will toss out a pair of water bombs from his hands, these bombs exploding after either contact with a solid surface or traveling a set distance. Also, while the water bomb is active, the player can tap the B button again in order to have Inteleon snipe the bomb in midair, causing it to explode early and increase its damage and splash radius. These explosives can heavily punish poor neutral placement, all while also being a great get-off-me tool if Inteleon is pushed into a corner. But if the opponent is exposed, the effects of these bombs will change. Normally, these bombs will launch the opponent away in the opposite direction that Inteleon is jumping, but if the opponent is exposed, the explosion's trajectory will instead be changed to the same direction. As a result, what was once a disengage tool becomes a combo starter, and it's specifically designed to combo into all of Inteleon's aerials. Next is the final smash, and like Cinderace before him, Inteleon just so happens to have the perfect way to send his opponents pining for the blast zone. This is G-Max Hydro Snipe Headshot. When the final smash starts, Inteleon will undergo a Gigantamax transformation, becoming the tactical Gigantamax Inteleon. Inteleon will then leap off the stage, wrapping his tail around the stage's width and setting up his sniper's nest. At this point, a reticle will appear on the screen, the player being able to move this reticle around with the analog stick in an attempt to line up a shot. Once the reticle scrolls over an opponent, they will be marked with a blue target-like icon, with the player being able to mouse up to 4 opponents at a time. Once this window of time has allotted, Inteleon will lock onto the marked opponent's positions and fire an immensely powerful beam of water that will deal massive damage on contact, launching all marked foes away. Once they've been marked, there's very little an opponent can do to prevent being shot by Inteleon, with only precisely timed sidesteps or rolls being able to bypass the incoming damage. But considering the window to dodge is even tighter than that of the Dragoon, chances are high they'll only end up with them being shot. Once the shots have been fired, Inteleon will leap back onto the stage, deactivating his Gigantamax form and returning to his normal pose. Inteleon will share his victory theme with the other Pokemon characters of Smash Bros., this being a remix of the main series theme. While I do wish there was some sort of difference between each Pokemon's victory theme, it's a fitting tune that will remain relevant as long as Pokemon continues to go on. Victory animation number 1 will have Inteleon fly into view of the camera, his membrane extended before sliding to a stop and striking a battle-ready pose. Victory animation number 2 will have Inteleon fire off a series of water blasts, all before turning around towards the camera and blowing on his finger, mimicking the way one would blow the smoke from the chamber of a gun. Inteleon will then strike a pose similar to his promotional art from Pokemon Sword and Shield. Finally, Victory animation number 3 will have Inteleon casually walk into view of the camera, all before turning towards the camera and firing off a blast of water. As the water runs down the camera, Inteleon will rush in close before striking a confident pose. This, of course, is a reference to the iconic James Bond opening in Inteleon's Secret Agent Inspirations. Taunt number 1 will have Inteleon lean back, resting his hand on his hip as he points a finger forward. At this point, Inteleon's nictitating membrane will cover his eyes and he'll let out a small smirk, all before returning to his idle animation. This is essentially Inteleon's way of telling his opponent that he has them in his sights. Taunt number 2 will have Inteleon perform a finger gun animation, pointing his hand forward and pretending to let out a shot. After pretending to fire, Inteleon will then blow on his finger and return to his idle animation. Finally, taunt number 3 will have Inteleon lean forward, using his tail as a makeshift seat as he crosses his legs. At this point, Inteleon will make an approach me motion with his hand before returning to his idle animation. For his colors, Inteleon will reference several other Pokemon that were introduced in Sword and Shield, along with a few extra references that lead back to his Secret Agent roots. Color number 1 is Inteleon's regular color scheme, featuring a blend of aqua blue, ocean blue, yellow, and black. Color number 2 will have Inteleon take on the colors of Toxicity, a popular poison electric type that will dye Inteleon's scales a light purple while his frills and suit become a blend of dark purple and yellow. Color number 3 will change Inteleon's scales to a deep gray while his suit and frills become a blend of black and white. This is designed to make it look like Inteleon is wearing an actual tuxedo, much like you'd expect a certain numbered agent to be wearing, if you know what I'm saying. Color number 4 will have Inteleon take on the colors of Duraludon, changing his scales to a dull silver while his frills and suit become a blend of navy blue and red. Color number 5 will have Inteleon take on the colors of Dragapult, changing his scales to a deep green while his frills and suit will be changed to a blend of aquamarine, red, and beige. Color number 6 will have Inteleon don his shiny colors, with his scales becoming a deep blue while his frills and suit become a blend of sky blue, white, and pink. Color number 7 will have Inteleon take on the colors of Sandaconda, changing his scales to a bright white while his frills and suit become a blend of various shades of brown. Finally, color number 8 will have Inteleon don a unique color, this making Inteleon's entire body a jet black while his eyes and frills will become a vibrant green. This is a reference to yet another iconic Secret Agent character, although this one has its roots planted in video games. You could also consider this Inteleon's answer to Greninja's shiny colors, but anything else would just be chaos theory. Out of all the franchises in Smash, Pokemon is definitely the one that feels like it has the most issues with its representation, with the majority of their newcomers coming from what could essentially be described as the current trend, which is whatever generation the series is currently in. We're still in Generation 8 as of writing this, but with the end of Generation 8 on the horizon, it seems like all chances for characters like Inteleon have come and gone, and as of now, all we can do is look back at what we could have gotten and let our imaginations run wild. When it comes to newcomers from Galar, I still stand by the thought that it would have been Cinderace, given its popularity, importance in the anime, and a huge abundance of merchandise based around it. But out of all the newcomer options, I do think that Inteleon offers the most interesting moveset potential. As for Rillaboom, it's clear that while some people genuinely like the Pokemon, it only got popular because it was completing some kind of imaginary trifecta that the Smash community has been attached to for years now, with the Grass-type starter balancing out the Fire-type Incineroar and the Water-type Greninja. It happened with Sceptile, it happened with Decidueye, and it has never been something I've supported nor understood, and it honestly ruined a lot of interest I could have had for several characters. Mix that with people that are aggressively toxic to anyone that says it's not realistic, and the chances of Rillaboom ever getting a video in the future is pretty much zero at this point. I hope being wrong about Sceptile in Smash 4 didn't hurt your ego too much there, Loxton. As of now, Inteleon will probably be the last Galarian Pokemon I cover on this channel, as while there are other Pokemon Pokemon aside from Rillaboom that could have made for interesting fighters. It's better to look to the future and prepare for what Gen 9 has in store for us, even if I have a sinking feeling that Gen 9 will be neglected just like Gen 8 before it. If you like what you saw, be sure to like, subscribe, and press that little bell icon to never miss a future upload. And I thank you for your patience as I slowly catch up on my backlog. I've been Felicia Fan, and thank you for watching.